Welcome to yet another beautiful day, another beautiful program. This is Humanists TV Africa, where all things happen, reaching humanity and taking the message to you. My name is Kato Mukasa. I'm Ugandan, of course, interested in human rights and humanism. And in the studio today is Dennis Bongole, who is managing our production, and of course, with my co-host Brian Kabeko, who is based in Kenya. Now, today I'm going to be discussing something very important. But I encourage you to subscribe. Please subscribe to Humans TV Africa, and please like it and share so that you take the message to the entire world. Brian, welcome. Brian, can you hear me?
Thank you. My mic was a bit muted, but I can hear you loud and clear. I'm joining from Kenya, and I'm happy to be part of the show today.
Yeah, thank you so much, Brian. Brian is the man with the cap, a man with the kofia who doesn't want to show his forehead. Because that is Brian Kabeko from Nairobi, Kenya. Now, Brian is the director at Humanists TV Africa and is, of course, a host and a panelist here. So today we're going to be discussing humanism, basically, but we're looking at conflict and wars, and we're asking ourselves why humanism and what humanists should do during war. We are seeing a conflict right now in Gaza, but let us not be blinded. This is not the only conflict in the world. There have been conflicts all over Africa. There have been conflicts, of course, in Niger. There have been conflicts in Somalia for a long time. There have been conflicts in Sudan, conflicts in the Congo, Eritrea, and Ethiopia have been fighting. Africa has had conflicts. Nigeria itself, northern part of Nigeria, Boko Haram has been terrorizing people, killing people, mutilating them, cutting off people's heads. Uganda was in a conflict for a long time. There have been conflicts. Kenya has had its own share, especially whenever you have elections. Whenever you have elections, people end up fighting, people end up getting shot. But these are temporary kind of conflicts. But we have been having conflicts. We have been having conflicts in Africa. Now, beyond Africa, of course, you know that the Middle East is a death zone. And when I say the Middle East, I'm talking about the Arab world in general. We're talking about Afghanistan, where we have had a war for over 20 years. We talk about Yemen. We talk about Syria. Syria is in turmoil as we talk about issues conflict today. Syria is under siege. Syria has been under bombardment for some good time. Yemen, Syria, Afghanistan, Iraq. Iraq has been in turmoil for some time. We talk about all these countries in confusion. Of course, now we go back to talking about Israel and Gaza, where we see that on the 7th day of October, there was a big clash, a big attack on the land of the Jews, where Hamas killed over 1,000 people. And of course, in retaliation, we saw that the IDF, the military wing of Israel, retaliated by bombing, carpet bombing of Gaza, and thousands of innocent people have died. Now, that is conflict, Brian. When I was growing up, Brian, in 1993, there was a genocide in Rwanda. 1993, 1994. There was a very big genocide in Rwanda. And I should tell you, Brian, that for the first time, we saw bodies flooding and floating on Lake Victoria. And for the first time, we saw fish as big as, how do I say? Like you can see, we call them like langfish, the small fish, becoming as big as, big. Generally, as you see a big fish which was small. Why? Because they were overfeeding on bodies. And for the first time in my area, because my area is not far away from the border, where I grew up, not far away from the border, Uganda and Rwanda, where I grew up, is not so far away from the border. So for the first time, we are seeing fishmongers having fish without a market, without who to sell, because everyone was fearing to eat fish because we knew fish was eating dead bodies. So Rwanda had a genocide where over 1 million people were killed, and a genocide based on tribes. And Rwanda, for heaven's sake, if heaven exists, Rwanda has only 3 tribes. Only 2 are prominent. But 2 tribes were butchering each other. Now, these are conflicts in Africa. Uganda has had its own spell for about 15 years. The Road Resistance Army. You can imagine the name, Lord Resistance Army of Joseph Kony, was raiding the entire northern Uganda and killing people, raping women, cutting people's lips off. These are conflicts. Uganda has had ADF, the Allied Democratic Forces, who are based somewhere in Western Uganda or beyond in Congo. These are people with a Muslim ideology. They want to Islamize Uganda. They have been on and off for the last 15 years. And so now Uganda has had its own share of conflict. Uganda as a country has been bombed. Suicide bombers have hit Uganda several times, just like they have hit Kenya. These are conflicts. Kenya soldiers are in Somalia. I understand Kenya soldiers are in some of the other countries. I've been following the politics. Our soldiers in Uganda are almost everywhere in the region. When I say region, I mean East African region. Our soldiers are everywhere. Our soldiers have been made to be mercenaries or mercenaries, hired out to go and kill. We are hired hands, called our soldiers hired hands, mercenaries. America simply hires our soldiers to go and do their bidding in the region. Now, we are part of these conflicts as people in Africa, and they affect us. There are so many orphans, there's a lot of poverty, a lot of setback. Africa cannot develop with these conflicts. Now, we ask a question: what humans should do? What humans should do during conflicts? Now, I want to invite you, Brian, to hear your take on this kind of issue.
Uh, Thank you, Kato. Thank you for having me as a co-host in today's show. The issue about conflicts in the world is really it's now becoming a global concern, because from every corner of the world we have conflict of different types. And you've even mentioned that you've also experienced conflict in Uganda. And currently, as we speak, here in Kenya, we are also experiencing conflict. Only that is an internal thing. We have bandits who are really causing havoc in the northwestern part of Kenya. And these bandits even have the audacity of attacking an AP camp. So you can imagine, if we have people who have that courage to go and seize an AP camp, so how are the civilians safe? We civilians are not armed. We are not trained to participate in combat, but our AP officers have been trained. But they are being attacked, their camps are being seized, and they become overwhelmed. And at some cases, these camps are even taken under siege for more than 12 hours. So you can just imagine how this world is turning into. Now, looking into the issue of Israel and Gaza, I've been trying to follow up the events since October 7th. I've been trying to look up at the videos, trying to understand what are the dynamics in this conflict. And I can say that the situation is really bad. because looking on the Israeli side, these are people who have already declared war, and they have said there is no turning back until Gaza is finished.
Mm.
And when you look at from the Hamas side, Hamas are also declaring war, and they are saying that they are ready for anything. So nobody is ready to step back and surrender. And for in any conflict, one person must bow down so that there can be a resolution. But if everyone feels superior, then it's something that can never be solved. And so I've been trying to look at what is the world's opinion on this ongoing conflict, because I understand that there are some people who are siding with the Israelis, and there are also some people who are siding with the Gazans, or let's say the Palestinians. And everybody is trying to give their own reasons as to why they've chose to stand with whoever they chose to stand with. But all this is not helping, because in a war, you don't take sides. Because if you take sides, you're just fueling the situation, and everything is going to be terrible. And then I asked myself, um, what could be the best solution to this conflict, not only in Israel and Gaza, but all over the world? Kenya is experiencing conflict. Sudan is also currently experiencing conflict. Most of the West African countries are also experiencing conflict. So what can be the best solution that we can implement so that we don't experience these things anymore? And that's where I think that humanism comes in handy, because a humanist is somebody who is not affiliated to any religion, culture, or beliefs. So humanists are in the best position to come up with, or to lead the rest in coming up with a solution to these conflicts. Because if you try and look into these conflicts, you'll realize that there are some common aspects that are coming up. One is religion. These people are fighting because of their religion. You hear somebody saying that oh, God gave us this land, blah blah blah. These ones are also claiming, oh, our God gave us this, our ancestors. And there is another thing. There is that political ambitions, and that's mostly in the West African parts of Africa. So you find that there is a rebel group that wants to come up. They want to overtake the government, and that's a war. So I think we can use the humanist approach in coming up with solutions to these conflicts, and we can avoid them. Because why am I saying that? If you look at the current situation in Gaza, I can say that humanists can play a vital role in advocating for, one is peace, justice, and human rights. But how can we humanists uh, do that? What can we put in place so that we can lead the way towards a peaceful world? One, we can promote diplomacy. As I've always reiterated, diplomacy is always the best way to solve conflicts. You don't put off fire with fire. So humanists can advocate for peaceful solutions to conflicts, that is through the diplomatic means, instead of resorting to violence. We can support these diplomatic convoys that are currently, I understand that currently the UN is meeting with diplomats from different countries in trying to find a solution towards what's happening in Israel and Gaza. The other thing, we can advocate for human rights. Humanists can champion the protection of human rights for all individuals, regardless of their nationality, ethnicity, and religion, which is a very, very, very big problem that we have in the world today. Because every conflict is just rotating around uh, religion. Politics is just a by the way, but you'll hear religion factors that are coming in. And then the other thing, we can support these international organizations that are trying to bring peace. We can support international organizations like the United Nations, which are dedicated to peace, security, and cooperation among nations. And we can also try and promote critical thinking. You know, we live in a modern world, and social media plays a very big role in today's world. So humanists can have that campaign online to promote this critical thinking so that people are able to question, why are we going into this war? Is this war worth it? Is this the best way to solve this conflict? At the end of the war, what do we stand to gain? Will we lose or will we win? So if we have such campaigns, then we can create that awareness. So I think humanists can do a lot. We can also provide humanitarian aid. Like I've seen in Gaza, there is a this humanist organization that it's called CARE. CARE is running an international fundraising campaign, and the funds that these people are raising, it's used to provide humanitarian aid for the injured people in Gaza. It's used to supply the hospitals. So we can really do much as humanists during these times of war, because we are the only people who have nothing to side with. Because if you look at both sides of those people who are fighting, everyone has a legitimate concern. This one will tell you that no, this person is occupying my land illegally. This other person will tell you no, this was our land, and they will even refer you to their religious books. So how do you even argue with somebody who is using a religious book that was written by somebody else to come up with a solution? So we need to, humanists need to come up. We need to start promoting that critical thinking and awareness as far as these wars and conflicts are concerned. That's the only way we can be able to support the conflict resolution measures that and programs that the UN is trying to foster. Otherwise, I think there is so much that we can do.
Yeah, thank you very much, Brian. That was really incredible. It was a very good input from you from a humanist perspective. I think viewers have heard it all. Yeah, Brian has given very good insights towards what us humanists can do. Of course, those of you joining us, this is Humanist TV Africa. We are purely humanists, and of course, humanists don't have these dogmas, don't have these beliefs. We don't take sides in a war because we are humanists. Whoever is killed is a human being. So humanists basically don't take sides in a war. We look at things objectively. And Brian was right. When you look at the conflict in Gaza, people basically affronting their religious sentiments. Brian, you and me belong to our subgroup somewhere where we have intellectuals, including lawyers. You know, lawyers are overrated. Though I'm a lawyer, I should say lawyers are very much overrated. Very overrated. Most of them actually are twats. Most of them are very dumb. But having said that, I'm a lawyer personally. Now, having said that, how could a lawyer reason on a platform and say that actually Israel has a right to self-defend, which is okay, and still kill people because that is their God-given land? And
It's
this
terrible.
lawyer argues that it's fine because we are arguing with him, and he doesn't see a problem with a military force, with Benjamin Netanyahu, with Biden bombing innocent children, thousands of innocent children dying in rubble, bombing pregnant women, bombing elderly men and women, bombing food. People were starving. Remember, in Gaza, as we speak today, they have been surrounded. They call it besieging. It is an enclave. There is no food that is coming in. There is no water. There is no electricity. There are no medical supplies because IDF has stopped anything to go into Gaza. Now, this is an open prison. This is apartheid going on in Gaza. Now, here is a lawyer who is an intellectual who says that certain people are God's chosen people. Therefore, they have a right to self-defense, including killing innocent civilians. Now, this is a lawyer who went to law school, who actually practices the law, but is obsessed with Christianity. When he's discussing, one thing that comes from him is Christianity. Now, God has blurred the thinking, the seeing of this guy, that he doesn't even see the law he read to be applicable. He doesn't even appreciate humanitarian law, because humanitarian law applies during the time of war. Human beings take precedent. The vulnerable take precedent. That's the principle study when you study humanitarian law, which is studied. Human rights must apply during conflict. There is what we call the law of conflict, which I studied, which he studied. But still, he doesn't appreciate that in the law of conflict, we are told to put human beings first. Soldiers actually can cease to fire. There's what we call cessation of hostilities. And there's also a ceasefire. People reach a point where they must stop to fight and then ponder and let people escape. Even when your enemy says, I'm tired of fighting, the law says, do not shoot. In fact, the law says that if I'm engaging you on the battlefield and I see you dropping your gun, I'm not supposed to shoot you. If I see you running away, the law says, the law of armed conflict, which I studied, says if your opponent puts down the guns and they start running away, they start retreating, the law says, don't shoot, let them run. In fact, the law says, give them what we call a safe passage. That's the law. And these guys read the law, which I read, but they are so confused with the religion. They think they own Christianity to the extent of wanting to exterminate Palestinians. Now, this person who's arguing is a Ugandan lawyer based in Uganda. He has never even traveled to Israel, but he considers himself so holy, so Christian, than even the people living in Israel. Now, he's willing to let them kill all Palestinians because for him, he's a Christian believing in his Jesus Christ. He doesn't know stupidly that even the Jews basically rejected Jesus Christ. Don't even believe in Jesus Christ. They are Judaists. They are believing in Judaism. Now, you can see the stupidity most people have. That's why I call them lawyers being overrated. Most of them are very stupid. When it comes to religion, they don't reason. I had a judge in Uganda who could say we have to have prayers. When I was in law school, actually in postgraduate law school, and in fact, doing my bar course, when I was called to the bar, we are going to study and become an advocate. Some of my lecturers wanted us to say prayers. And these are professors. To say prayers before you go to moot court. We call them moot court, where you go and practice a court session. Now, someone tells us, a professor who's about 60 years, that we have to first say a prayer. And I refused. I said, this is a courtroom, not a prayer house. Now, you can imagine the confusion people have, where they even bring their own feelings, their own beliefs in times of conflict. Now, as humanists, we are saying, no, look, human beings matter. Yes, we agree that the people in Gaza are innocent. This is what I do think as a humanist. And I believe that the people in Israel are innocent. And I believe that no one deserves to die. No one deserves to die. So what do? We are agreeing that, yes, Hamas did something very bad by attacking the Israelites on the 7th day of October and killing so many of them. That was really bad. But the question is, should we use corrective punishment? As I put it on my Facebook page, should we use collective punishment and kill everyone? and kill children and leave children orphaned and leave thousands of people maimed. Do you know a bombing, a war, the effects of war, the injuries take lasting effects? Someone has lost an arm, another doesn't have an eye, another has no leg, another has got a disease out of the, they may survive, but still they are going to be sick for a long time. Now, someone stupidly says from the IDF side, because me, I want to separate Jews, I want to separate Israelites from their stupid leaders in Benjamin Netanyahu. I always want to separate the politicians from the people. I want to separate Hamas from Palestinians. People don't separate these two. The politicians are mad. The politicians want to prove a point. The politicians are obsessed with power. Netanyahu is corrupt. They were actually indicting him. He was before courts. Anyone can read it. Anyone can Google it. Netanyahu Benjamin is a corrupt leader who has been ruling Israel for the last 16 years. He was indicted over corruption. He was facing corruption charges in his own country. In fact, his term was under jeopardy. Now, when a conflict came, it gave Netanyahu a lease of life. In fact, my source in Israel told me that at one point, even Biden had refused to pick Netanyahu's calls. That Netanyahu had to board the next plane to go to US to beg Biden to talk to him. Because he had had a bad history in Israel, is not loved. Now, when this war comes in, it gives him another chance to become relevant. Now he says, I want to kill everyone. Why? He's looking for validity. He's looking for validity. Now, a man like Netanyahu, who's very corrupt, who is obsessed with Zionism, who is obsessed with apartheid, cannot help this cause. Yes, we argue that Hamas is bad, but Hamas doesn't represent children, doesn't represent pregnant women, doesn't represent those helpless men who are being killed in Gaza. Why should we stop food from coming in? You want to kill everyone. Why should you cut off water? Why should you cut off aid? Why should you cut off electricity? You are breaching all international laws. That's not how we fight. Fight as men. Let people have food. There are children there. They don't have electricity. They don't have water. Fight as men. So the problem we are talking about here is unfairness, where the UN sits back and relax. They have nothing to do. Where a superpower like America funds over 100 billion US dollars into a war to kill people. And they call it self-defense. Now, they want us to keep quiet as humanists because it's not safe to talk about Israel and America because they will stop funding. That's what they will tell you. You know, these guys have big funders. When you talk about them, they will not fund you. They silence everyone over money. People fear. I'm telling you, I've been working with NGO world for over 20 years. What I know in the NGO world, many NGOs fear to speak what I talk. Why? Donors won't give you the money. When you talk about these things, donors will say you are anti-Jew. You are not. We must separate between the antagonists, between the killers, between the murderers and the people. The Jews themselves are saying, you are not doing this in our own name. The Jews themselves all over the world. In the UK here, the Jews are saying, not in our name. In the US themselves, you can see photos I've been showing them here. Jews are saying, whatever you're doing, Benjamin Netanyahu, is not in our name. There are even banners saying, Jews for peace. There are banners saying, Jews for Palestine. I've seen these banners personally. So Jews are peaceful people. Why do you equate our condemning you killing innocent people to not loving Jews? They begin saying you are anti-Semitic. You are hating the Jews. No, you are not. You are simply saying IDF killing young people is wrong. You are simply saying US and Biden funding, giving money to this thief called Benjamin Netanyahu is wrong. Benjamin Netanyahu himself is before the court of Israel. Anyone can check it. He was indicted over corruption. Now, if this thief is ruling Israel and everyone is supporting him to go and kill innocent people, we are saying no. So what can humanists do? One, humanists must raise their voices. Brian, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now clear.
Yes. Humanists must raise their voices, because what we have right now, me and you, is a voice. Now,
Sure.
we have no guns, we have no helicopters, we have no power. We cannot influence the UN that much. Yes, we are represented there, but we have our voices. Now, what we can do, all of us, what we can do is to use our social media and post these posts and say, stop bombing Gaza. And say, I stand with Israel, I stand with Palestine. Because we don't choose sides. I love Jews. Jews have been my mentor. I always say my senior mentor was a Jew. I have no problem with Jews. They have been my friends. I've studied with them. I've worked with them. They are good people. Why should I say I hate Jews? Why should I say I hate Israel? It's a good country. So I say I stand with Israel. I stand with Palestine, but I condemn IDF. I condemn Netanyahu. I condemn Hamas. And then we show the negative things being done in the battlefield. We say, please, can you exchange prisoners? That has been my call, for example. Can you sit on a table? Because sparing yourselves with bombs will not help. The missiles are going to simply postpone the problem. Today, I was on a certain platform and hearing someone's views. He says, you can kill everyone. And I'm saying, come on, you cannot. You cannot destroy an idea, Brian. You can never destroy an idea. Hamas is an idea of self-determination. I can repeat that 100 times. Hamas is an idea of self-determination. Even someone in the belly of her mother will come out as Hamas. Why? Their mothers are in Egypt, in exile. Their mothers are in Syria. They're in Turkey. They're in Jordan. They're in Yemen. They're in Iraq. They're in Iran. Now, they're everywhere in the world as refugees. No one, Brian, I can assure you, no one loves to be a refugee. At least I don't want to be a refugee.
That is
now, all these guys will one day want to go back home. Now, if you don't create an avenue for them to go back home, they will go back home as suicide bombers. I'm telling you, because this is an idea. You can never kill an idea. Now, whoever fools themselves and say we can bomb them to carpet, as Israel says, because their policy is bomb them to carpet. Israel's policy is kill everyone and take over. Now, that is a very bogus way of looking at life. These are not biblical times. Brian, I will take you back to the Bible. When I was growing up, I read the Bible. And incidentally, for how many years? 7 years of primary, 6 years of secondary. Those are 7 plus 6, 13. Now, 13 years of my education, I was studying the Bible. And in fact, I got a distinction throughout in the Bible. Now, I know the Bible. Now, what happens in the Bible is this, that the Bible supports wiping out. They call it a just war. The Bible in the Old Testament was giving Israelites powers to go and attack other tribes and simply clean them off the surface of the map. Anyone can read the Bible. It's not my words. All there was the fault. You can imagine that one of the kings, I think that was King Saul, told his soldiers to make him happy by killing people and cutting off their foreskins from the penis. And 200 of them were killed, and give him a present of a foreskin, just a present. Now, you can imagine by this kind of history, with people who can be so vile like that, in the Bible, which I doubt, because the Bible is a book of fiction. The Bible is not a book of truth, it's a book of lies. But Be that as it may, in the book of lies, the book of lies sanctions war, but also terrible war, where the Bible allows you to go and kill the children, rape women, cut off pregnant women, and get the babies out and kill them. That's the Bible. Anyone can read it. Now, if you are going to apply what the Torah says, we are in trouble. Now, as humanists, we are saying, please, don't use the biblical war methods to fight a 21st century war. We are living in a century where we have laws. We are not saying don't defend yourself, Brian. We are not saying don't defend yourself. We are saying self-defense is okay. Even if it were me, if a man had attacked me and I'm a president of Uganda, I would fight back. Trust me. And I want to be a leader personally. But if it was me, the president of Uganda, and Kenya attacks me, I would retaliate. First beat you properly, then I say, come and we talk. But I first beat you properly, because when you kill me, I'm going to retaliate and show you I have the power. Then I say, okay, can we negotiate? But Israel, with Netanyahu, the madman, doesn't want to negotiate. Hamas, with their leaders or some of their spokesperson says, we don't want peace. They want their piece of flesh. They call it a pound of flesh. Now, where you have two mad camps led by people who don't want peace, then we have a problem. There's no peace. And America, on the other hand, is saying, don't worry, we have the money. Now, remember, as I conclude, that the more people you kill in Palestine, the more Hamas followers you are creating. Now, you can even kill them and force them out, because I can tell you, I'm going to predict this as I end, that Israel, through IDF, are going to force Palestinians out of Gaza. This is what I'm predicting. They are going to force them to go to West Bank and cram there, and they are going to take over Gaza. But trust me, there will never be peace in Gaza. Why? Millions of Palestinians will always remember that this was their land. There are TV footages which are going to last for 100 years. TV footages which are going to last for 100 years. Trust me, babies born today will come back and fight for that land. Now, there will never be peace. Now, whoever thinks that by killing Palestinians we are solving a problem, in fact, we are making it worse. Now, in conclusion, I wish these people can sit down and settle this matter and accept to share. The solution was a two-state policy. Two-state, where Kenya stays, Uganda stays. We have boundaries. We respect each other. Now, this failed. Why? Hamas keeps on attacking Israel. Israel keeps on attacking Hamas. No side is willing to give up. They are conflicting over the so-called holy places. And people don't talk about this. There is what we call Mount Camp. You know, there is that holy place. There is Jerusalem, of course. There are the Wailing Wall. There is the Mount of Olives. There are those so-called holy places. Al-Qasr, that mosque, which is holy. Now, they are even not compromising on who owns these holy places. Now, until these guys can sit down and say enough is enough, let us forgive each other. I have 1,000 prisoners of Palestinian origin in my prison in Israel. I'm willing to release them. Also, give me my prisoners, whether they are 400, whether 500. Israel gets their prisoners, Palestinians get their prisoners, and then they shake hands and say, okay, I'm going to respect your boundaries, respect mine. I believe there can be peace. But without that, there's not going to be peace. What can we do now? Talk about these things without fear or favor. And I'm grateful to all humanists I know that are speaking out. But I can tell you, Brian, many humanists are not speaking out. Simply go to their websites of these big humanist organizations and see if you will find any statement. I'm telling it to you here on air, and it's going to be there for years. Humanist organizations are not coming out to speak out. Why? They are compromised. I will say it again here. They are compromised. They fear to say, stop killing Palestinians. Can you imagine a humanist organization fearing to say, stop killing Palestinians? They fear to say, stop killing Israelis because they are going to offend the Arab League, because they are going to offend the Israelis, because they are going to offend the Christians, because they are going to offend the politicians, because they are going to offend bankers, money muggles who give in the money. Now, if a movement is paralyzed by money, it is dead. If a TV station like this one fears to speak because of money, we are dead. We better go back and sleep. Because our role is to bring out the facts as they are. Humanist organization must stand up and say, please stop killing, please stop the war. They have a statement and say, please respect the UN declaration, because Israel was created in 1947 by a mere stroke of a pen, where countries sat at the UN and said, let us reinstate, let us put back these Zionists back to their home. Now, why don't they call for that? Humans can speak out and say, please, can we respect what the UN in 1947 had put on paper? There were agreements. Why is Israel taking over the entire land? Israel had a small piece of land. Why are they taking over every time? Why are they pushing Palestinians out? These Palestinians have equal rights like everyone else. Are we saying that Palestinian people don't have rights by keeping quiet? No. And when we say these things, are we saying we hate Jews? We don't. They are our friends, they are our mentors, they are our allies. We are simply saying, let us be fair. After all, even Jews don't support Netanyahu. He's a madman. He's fighting a bad war. Yes, they were hurt, but is that the best way to fight back? We are saying no. So, in conclusion, we are saying, as humanists, the best thing we can do right now is to speak out. Speak out wherever you can. Let us be as many. If you have these videos showing how people are being massacred, show the videos. This is apartheid. Make them get ashamed. You expose them by shaming them. Otherwise, if all of us keep quiet, we become part of the problem. Over to you, my friend Brian. Brian, I can't hear you. I can't hear you.
Thank you, Kato. That was a fantastic insight. And I can really agree with you in every single word that you said. And I'm really a heartbroken humanist today because there is no humanist group in particular that has come out and given their own opinion as far as this war is concerned. Reasons being, they are uh, they're afraid. They're afraid that if they condemn Israel in carrying out its massacre on Gaza, then there are reprisals that they might face. Maybe their donors might hold back or something of that sort. But what really breaks my heart today is that why are they being compromised? You see, as humanists, we have our own values and principles. And at whatever cost, we must live up to those values and principles. We shouldn't let anything corrupt our cause. If somebody is doing a bad thing, whether he or she or they are allied to you, you must be able to stand up and call them out. We shouldn't, the reason as to why this situation is turning into us is because the voices that are supposed to be speaking against it have been compressed.
Yeah.
They are quiet. But what I believe is that if there are some people who are going to stand up and speak against this barbaric act, then even Israel is going to be afraid of going on with their operation. I was looking at a public opinion that was carried out in the US. I think it's about 2 weeks ago, and 58% of Americans are saying no, we don't support our country in funding the war in Gaza. And that should tell you something, that These governments are on their own. They really don't represent the opinions of their citizens. They are doing it on their own. And I'm not even surprised when you said that Jews are against what IDF is doing in Egypt.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's I think it was on Thursday. Hezbollah was making a press statement, and I happened to follow that press statement live. And Hezbollah was very clear. Hezbollah said that one of the major things that motivated them to join this war is that they saw the path that Israel was taking was not right. Israel was out there to destroy every Palestinian, and they couldn't sit down and relax. But if Israel had taken the war to Hamas, then they wouldn't have any business to even meddle in that war. But they say that we can't just sit down and see a whole nation is being massacred for something that they don't even uh, have a hand in, because Hamas might be the legitimate government that is governing Gaza, but they really don't represent the the opinions and views of the people of Gaza. There is this international organization. I really commend them for the work that they've been doing since the war began. Amnesty International. Amnesty International has come out all close in condemning this war. They have not spared Israel with even a word, nor have they spared Hamas, because they believe that there are international laws, even as far as wars are concerned, and those laws must be followed to the utter. You can't just go ahead and clear a whole nation in the name of your self-defense. Is Israel protecting themselves against Palestinian children? Are they protecting themselves against the old women and men in Gaza? That is very wrong. And I think that going forward, some things need to be considered, because even the UN now is just like a toothless dog in this war. Because who has the veto powers at the UN Security Council? It's the same people who are fueling this war. So
US
even
has veto powers. US has
yeah,
veto powers and is abusing the veto powers basically.
exactly. And as much as the UN Secretary General is trying and pleading for this war to be called to a truce, he's helpless. He can't do anything, because there was a vote that was carried out at the UN Security Council, and USA and its allies voted no. They say that that war must continue. It shouldn't stop. So what else can the UN do? And that's why I agree when Russia's president said that, not Russia's, the Iran president, he said that UN Security Council it's just a PR thing. Because if we have some people who have more veto powers than other people, it means that whatever these people want to be done will be done, in as much as it's wrong or it's bad. So he called out on a rethink and said that people should have equal veto powers at the UN, so that we can have a fair world order. Because look, the Arab countries presented a motion at the UN Security Council calling for a ceasefire, and then USA comes in and votes no. What's that supposed to mean? Are they happy that Palestinians are being killed? So I think these are to going forward. These are some of the things that maybe they should be reconsidered. And to those organizations that are out there and humanists alike, I think it's about time that we take this campaign seriously. We need to flock the social media. We need to carry out awareness. We need to let people understand what's happening. Because even here in Kenya, let me tell you, Kato, I don't go to church, but my partner does. So I happened to listen to one of their uh, recordings. And you know what? These pastors in Kenya are preaching on the war in Gaza. And they are saying that Israel is right, because they are Christians and they believe that Christians are children of God. And then I ask myself, why would anyone stand up on a pulpit and then start saying that the killing of children, the killing of old men and women, the 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 bombing of hospitals, it's right before God? What does this God represent then? Does this God support massacres? So I think we need to start carrying out awareness. People need to understand where this conflict is coming from and where this conflict is going to. And they also need to understand that there are repercussions in every conflict. There always are repercussions. And in a war, nobody ever wins.
Yeah.
Israel can come out and say that they've won, but in reality, they've lost some people, they've lost some things. Even if Hamas wins today, they've lost so many people. So nobody usually wins in a war. Everybody loses something. And that is the thing that we really need to consider. And it's about time that we move from the religious world and come to the secular worldview, where everything that is being done is thought out critically. You don't just do something in the name of I'm doing it because the Bible says so. You were never there when this Bible was written. You don't know whoever wrote this Bible, what influence was he or she under. So I call upon our fellow humanists, and to be specifically, I call upon the Humanists International. I've seen them advocating for so many humanitarian scenarios all over the world, but I'm yet to see them make a statement on the ongoing conflict in Gaza. The videos that are coming out of Gaza, they are very much heartbreaking. They're very horrendous. I would wish to share some with our viewers, but I'm even afraid that those photos are so much discreet. Children under rubble, stuck, they are dead. Old men and women. So this is a humanitarian issue. We shouldn't even look at in terms of Israel versus Gaza. We should look at it as in terms of humanity. Those are human
As
beings
we
that
speak, Brian, I want to request Dennis to press some of the photos I sent you. They are not bad photos. People should see what we're talking about. Dennis, as you continue, actually, as Brian continues, we have 9 minutes to go. May you please show us? Look at that, Brian. Look at that, viewers. Look at these mothers crying. Which type of humanitarian is this? Which type of situation is this? Who would like to see a baby dying and a mother waiting because they have bombed them? Look at that place, all raised down by IDF. IDF, in looking for Hamas, they are raising down buildings where people sleep. They are killing innocent civilians in Palestine. And we are saying, as humanists, stop the war. Stop killing innocent people in Palestine. Stop collective punishment. Look at that, Brian. Look at that, viewers. Look at that and see how deep it is. See how people are being killed in Palestine, in Gaza. These are innocent people. These are not Hamas. Look at the city besieged. Just look at the city in ruins, in rubble. And the bombing does not stop. These are children. These are pregnant women. These are helpless people. But people don't want to speak about this. People fear because when you say this, they are going to say you hate so and so. You don't hate so and so. We are simply saying the words. But look at these journalists. So far, they have killed 34 journalists in Gaza. They have
it's very
killed
extreme.
34 journalists in Gaza. So far, the total. These are journalists crying. You can see journalists crying on TV because their colleagues are being killed. Now, why should we be supporting a war? Why should we be keeping quiet when people are dying? Because we fear to annoy donors. Look what journalists crying. Journalists are crying. Their colleagues are dying in the war. Look at that journalist. They are being shot at. They are being hit by missiles. They are dying in the war. Now, the war doesn't spare anyone. When a bomb comes, does not ask whether a Muslim, a Jew, or a non-believer. When a bomb comes, it will destroy you. Look at that building. It is no more. It is decimated. Now, this is the trouble with the war. Wars don't create peace. Wars don't create peace. Never tell yourselves a lie. A war simply postpones peace. Look what journalists dying. I'm showing you photos of journalists. Over 34 journalists have been killed as we speak. And thousands of people have died. And about the 3,000 people dead, 60% of the dead are children. Over 1,000 children have been killed. It's a future destroyed. These are journalists today we are showing you. Journalists who are being killed in the war. And journalists have a right to report. These are buildings on fire. This is how terrible ADF is in Gaza. This is a massacre. This is an ethnic cleanser. This is terrorism. This is apartheid in Palestine. And we are saying apartheid must stop. We are saying terrorism must stop. There's no need of killing innocent people. If you want Hamas, find a way to fight them, but don't kill people. Hamas does not represent the Palestinians, just like IDF and Benjamin Netanyahu do not represent Jews and Israelis. These are egoistic, selfish, blindfolded, hate, racist individuals who are hating each other, who are blinded by their religious beliefs and histories, who are killing innocent people in Gaza and in Israel. Hamas are bad people. We condemn them for whatever they did to the innocent people of Israel. But equally, we condemn IDF for not sparing innocent women, innocent children, for always bombing homes, for bombing a hospital and killing over 500 people. Why should a government kill people in a hospital and say, we thought there was an underground tunnel where Hamas hides in a hospital? Can you imagine that? You kill sick people who are in a hospital without arms and legs, with bullets, with shrapnel in their bodies, and you go and bomb them, and you come and praise the act that is a noble act. I tell you, IDF and Netanyahu, you are creating more Hamas. You are creating more Hamas that are going to haunt you in the next 40 years. Those children whose parents were killing will come back for you. Those children whose fathers and mothers were killed, those survivors will never rest until the revenge. And therefore, don't be so selfish to think you are creating peace for Israel. In fact, you are an enemy for Israel. The more people you kill, the more postponement of the problem. The more Hamas. Hamas is an idea of self-determination. You will never kill an idea, Brian. An idea is not killed. An idea is solved by tackling it, by talking about it. You solve an idea by asking, what do you want? How do we solve it? You don't say, stop thinking this way. An idea is in the mind. You can't say, stop thinking about self-determination. Stop thinking about this land being yours. The land is theirs. There's no question about it. The land they stay in is their land. Don't tell yourself a lie that you own Palestine. You don't. You own Israel. These guys have a right to defend their land. But the way they defend their land is what we are not agreeing with. None of us at Humanist TV say, go and kill Israelis. We condemn that. And we equally condemn IDF bombing innocent civilians. Brian, I'm concluding my shot. You are going to conclude the show in the next 2 minutes. And of course, we are saying we are bitter. We are saying as humanists, we only have one thing now, our voices. Let us use our voices and condemn the war in Ukraine. Condemn the war in Ukraine, for example. Condemn the war in Somalia. Condemn the war in Ethiopia and between Ethiopia and Eritrea. Condemn the war in Sudan. Condemn the war in Iraq, in Yemen, in Afghanistan. We want peace. We stand for peace. Brian, over to you and conclude the show. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Kato. Thank you, Kato, for the insights. My words are just few. To the viewers who are watching us, I would wish to call upon everyone that we should believe in the value of human life and the well-being. And we should always strive to minimize harm and promote peace in times of conflict and war. That is to mean that we should let our difference aside. When it comes to human life and well-being, humans comes first. Let's put our difference aside. Let us come to the table and let us come with a solution. And I want to call upon to everyone that we should be advocating for non-violent solutions. We should always promote human rights and we should always engage in efforts that will create a more and just peaceful world. You know, when you when these for example, when these Palestinian children who have lost their parents in these wars, these are bitter people. They are growing up to be bitter, and they are growing up to hate Israel even more and more. And that is to mean this thing will never end. In the next
No.
coming 40 years, we will be talking about this thing. So let us be people who solve situations once and for all. Let us look for better ways of solving conflicts. Even at home, when you quarrel with your neighbor, your partner, violence is never an option. Sit them down, get a mediator who both parties are comfortable with. Let that mediator try and come up with solutions if two of you cannot come up with solutions. And I want to say that I condemn the violent act that is being done in Gaza. I also condemn Hamas. It was also not justified to attack Israel. I also condemn the what's happening in Ukraine. I actually condemn every violence that is taking place all over the world today. So let us strive to be peaceful. Let us try to exist with each other, regardless of our religious, ethnical, and all other differences. So that is my call to everyone. I think
Thank you
that's
so
all.
much, Brian, and thank you so much, Dennis. Thank you so much, everyone, for watching this show. Please subscribe to Women's TV Africa, and please keep hope alive. See you in the next show. Brian, thank you so much. It has been a very good show today, and we encourage everyone to please subscribe, and see you in the next one.